What's up? What's up? Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? Good morning. How y'all doing? Most definitely, I pray for you and your wife. I pray that God continue to be at center, holding, being the glue to hold y'all together, but also strengthening y'all minds so y'all can be on one accord, equally yoked, and knowing that this world is a battlefield and problems and conflict will come, but y'all strong enough to overcome anything. Y'all shall overcome anything. This shall come to pass, whatever you're going through. So I pray that God continue to, give you the mindset to keep pushing. You know, the enemy, he'll never take a day off. He always come to distract, destroy, steal, kill, take your peace. But we got to stay rooted into Jesus Christ. Hey, you got to confess, and you're human. Confess and say, God, I want to take this. Maybe it's not an addiction. Maybe you just want to have fun. Alcohol. Y'all with your lady, you're trying to have a good time, y'all drinking, but it talks about, not for drunkenness. So if you feel guilty about it, that's a conviction. So bring that to God and y'all gonna work on that. You gotta go deeper in your relationship because I can pray for you, but you gotta be willing to do the work, that's necessary. So I pray that you find it in your heart to, actually do the work and make a commitment to yourself, not only yourself, to make a submission to God, so He can help you in the area. A lot of us don't fulfill what we say we're gonna do, and that's human traits, But once you get that gain that discipline, you look at life totally different. So even for me, a lot of things I say I was gonna stop and still had the habits, I had to break away by fasting, praying, picking up the Bible, learning how to sit in quietness, and just sitting in silence because that's when he speaks to us the most because we're not distracted. We're not involved with the loudness of the world. So sometimes we have to just step away and just sit in quietness and just let God talk to us and pour into us. You know, that's the biggest thing. So, brother and sister, I pray for y'all. Don't beat yourself up because when you beat yourself up, you tend to, take away, you know, the conviction that you're having. And when you take away from the conviction that you're having, you tend to, bypass what needs to be done. And you're like, oh, there's nothing. And then you find it excusable. You're saying, oh, such and such say they do this, they drink, and that's not for you. You know what you feel. They might feel totally different. They may they may have never came to the realization, oh, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Those that are free in their mind, they're free indeed. Not only just free indeed, they just free from things, habits, old mindset. You just have to be serious. Get serious. And the only way you get serious is by, cutting off the distractions. It's a way to have a good time and a way, just to fill a void. And I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to help you. I'm not judging you because I had moments where I was drinking, and had to sit there and reflect like, this not of a man of God, just trying to fit in to have a good time, to show you not a dull person. And the whole time that's taking you off your purpose. That's good. Y'all pray together. That's good because that's what God, He's involved. A lot of us are wait till a relationship gets so bad and then we want to involve God. God wasn't in that relationship in the first place. And a lot of us don't see it and we don't acknowledge that. And once you acknowledge that, there's room for growth. There's room, and making room for maturity. It's making room for a lot of things. So it's safe to say, all of us are going through something in this world, and once you lack accountability, nothing's going to change. Nah, I don't know if it's a gay church, but I don't judge anybody. I love everybody. I don't pick and choose who I love just because they have a different belief. That's not me. So I don't know about a church like that. A lot of people may be dealing with that type of church hurt. You know, I try to meet people where they at and not trying to shame them and quoting scriptures. To hey, everybody walking journey is different. I'm sorry to hear that you get kicked out every time, but still build your personal relationship up with God. There's something there for you. I don't know what it is, but God has a special assignment, a calling, and He just want to have a relationship with you. So let God amend your broken heart if you feel like you got church hurt. But I can't. I don't know of no church like that. But like I was saying, a lot of us are in a season in our life currently of figuring it out. Figuring a lot of things out on our own. But you can't just keep trying to figure it out on your own. That's causing you to lose peace, rest, when God can give you the rest that you need. But most of us, we won't take that time to say, okay, God, let me think about this. We don't think, we react before anything. Sometimes we have to put our feelings to the side. Just because your emotions is loud doesn't mean you have to shut down. I learned that. You're welcome, brother. I hope you have a blessed day, brother. But there's a lot of, we all evolving. We all trying to become better, which I think, sometimes we'll judge a person just because they drinking, they going through something, and the whole time they searching and looking for God. But we thinking they drinking just because that's what they like to do. They're alcoholic. No. Sometimes an individual is searching for God and they learning how to cope in different areas. So all we got to do is pray for that person instead of judging that person, because it could have been you. So that's why I say I'm always grateful. You know, I see all these decisions and I see what people be going through, and I realize it could be you, but it's not. And that's why I pick up that Bible. I'm like, God, I thank you for, just give me another chance. Look, I'm gonna stay consistent. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep fighting for what's right. Not only just what's right, for the things that you want me to do in my life. You know, and most of us, we miss our calling because it's the things that we feel that's right, and the whole time it's steering you out. It's steering you in the wrong direction. It's steering you further away from God, and you don't even know it until something drastic or something chaotic happens, and then you like, God, I need you. But the whole time, God never left you. You left Him, but He ain't left you. You didn't leave God in the same spot that you thought you left Him in. You turn around, you're gonna see, wow, God, He was always there, even in the silence, even in the quiet. That's why I say God is a great God. God is a good God. God is a faithful God. Even when we feel like nothing is happening, nobody provides, God is. And it may not come in the form or shape that we think it should come into, but that's what separates us. Remember what I say. When I say this, God thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Because if we could think like Him, we would, take the alternate route. We wouldn't go through, trials and tribulations. See, trials and tribulations is come to, make you. not break you. Adversity come to test you, and then after that, it's gonna bless you. So that's why I say we go through these middle season, and you think it's tough, but on the other side, you're like, okay, I see why I had to go through all this because it was building character, bringing structure into my life, put me in a better position, not just physically but mentally. A lot of us have that mental problem. Like we think it's 10 times worse than when it actually appears. And the whole time it just be you fighting those demons, you fighting those thoughts. So when you break away from fighting those thoughts, hey, you're a powerful person because nobody could come and tell you who you are. And I try to tell you what your identity is because you know, a lot of us, a lot of these people say, hey, you this type of person and that, and my identity comes from God. That's your own perception of me. And people, tend to protect their perception without growing. They'll play victim and you'll be a villain in their story without seeing they were projecting their feelings on you and make you feel some type of way, all without going through the process to actually correct themselves. That's a lack of accountability. I know for my personal experience, I was shut down when I feel like I wasn't being heard or feel like my feelings wasn't valid enough. So I'm like, I'm not gonna open up this spot. And I had to understand if it's making you feel this way, you have to step away from it. So I step away from a lot of things that's causing me my peace, especially going through a mental, pressure. I don't never want to make nobody feel like I'm hurting them, but also understanding this is how this making me feel, even though I'm dealing with this type of pressure. And I'm not trying to, dismiss your feelings because I'm just coming bring it to you and tell you like, hey, look, today is not a good day, and then you get punished for it. People tend to punish you for feeling a certain way. And I'll never say I'm perfect, but I learn. That's what sharpens me, taking a step back, reflecting, regulating, and thanking God, for the ability to, try again. So I shut down is not for no bad reason, it's for a valid reason, because I'm a type of person slow to speak but quick to think.